What if a billionaire woman wanted a baby but refused to get married, so she disguised a sperm donor search as a job interview and accidentally picked a delivery guy? This story has betrayal, a knife attack, a wild motorcycle chase through traffic, and one of the most insane parachute jumps you'll ever see. Let's dive in. Meet Yen, a powerful CEO who catches her boyfriend cheating with her own employee in an elevator. She fires them both instantly. This betrayal destroys her faith in men completely, but she still dreams of becoming a mother. That night, she tells her best friend Sophie in France that she wants a baby through IVF without ever getting married. She just needs the perfect sperm donor. But here's her genius plan. She'll disguise the donor search as a personal assistant job interview, find someone smart and strong, get him tested, then convince him to donate. She posts a job offering 12,000 yuan monthly, which is insane money for an assistant position. The interviews are disasters. One guy dances like a clown, another has zero personality, and one claims he can seduce any woman in 60 seconds. Yen rejects them all. Meanwhile, Ben is a hard-working delivery guy desperately saving money for his nephew's ear surgery after his brother's tragic death. When he sees Yen's job posting, he realizes 1 month of work could pay for the entire operation. He immediately applies. But before his interview, chaos erupts. That fired employee returns with a knife, furious because losing her job means losing everything. She charges at Yen, screaming. Ben doesn't hesitate. He throws a package at the attacker and shields Yen with his own body. The knife shatters against the wall. Security restrains the woman, who breaks down crying about her desperate situation. Everyone expects Yen to press charges, but she surprises them by giving the woman 3 months' salary and promising to help if she can't find work. Yen turns to Ben, impressed that this stranger just risked his life to save her without expecting anything in return. She hires him on the spot. Then she starts asking bizarre questions. Do you smoke? Drink? What's your diet? Do you exercise? Ben proves his strength by lifting a heavy cabinet one-handed. She hands him a 50-page contract, and Ben signs without reading it. Big mistake. Ben's first day is chaotic. At Yen's birthday party, he trips while carrying the cake, setting it on fire as guests flee in panic. But he gets a chance to redeem himself the next day. Yen has a crucial $1 million client meeting and they hit terrible traffic. Ben, using his delivery driver knowledge, tries alternate routes but everything is jammed. Yen is panicking. Missing this meeting could ruin her. Ben makes a call, and minutes later his friend arrives on a classic vintage motorcycle. Ben grabs Yen and they take off, weaving through traffic at terrifying speeds with Yen holding on for dear life, convinced they'll crash. But Ben navigates perfectly using every shortcut from his delivery days, arriving with seconds to spare. The client sees this billionaire CEO arriving on a vintage bike and is so impressed by her style that he signs the deal immediately. But back at the office, the assistant asks Ben for a sperm sample. He's confused and suspicious. What kind of company requires this? When he confronts Yen, she reveals the truth. She doesn't want marriage but wants a baby, so she needs a sperm donor and that's why she hired him. Ben explodes, threatening to call the police, but Yen makes an offer. Instead of 1,200 daily, she'll pay him 90,000 yuan annually to be her permanent assistant and donor. Ben's anger evaporates. 90,000? That's his nephew's surgery plus more. He agrees immediately. Yen gives him strict contracts controlling every aspect of his life. Diet, exercise, sleep schedule, everything designed to ensure a healthy baby. Ben's girlfriend notices he's never available anymore and breaks up with him. When Ben gets drunk to cope, Yen teaches him a harsh lesson by having his stomach pumped at the hospital, warning him to never touch alcohol again. One night, Yen calls Ben to her bedroom. He gets excited thinking it's finally happening, but she just needed a light bulb changed. He's mortified. The next day, Yen's ex-boyfriend shows up begging for forgiveness and grabs her wrist when she refuses. Ben throws him out, making Yen feel protected and safe. Then Yen takes Ben to visit her father at a senior care facility. The old man has Alzheimer's and doesn't recognize her. Yen coldly refuses when he begs to go home. Ben is shocked by her cruelty. 2 days later, Ben brings her father home without permission. When Yen returns to find her house in chaos, she's furious. Ben confronts her. How can you abandon your sick father? Yen says you don't know what he did, but Ben says everyone calls you heartless and now I believe them. He quits and walks out. 2 days later, Yen sues him for $90,000 for breach of contract. When Ben storms into her office about the lawsuit, Yen finally reveals her painful past. Her father was a serial cheater who brought women home and beat her mother so severely that her mother took her own life, and young Yen found the body. Even after that, her father continued partying with women, not caring about his teenage daughter watching. When Yen became successful, she made him sign a legal document severing their relationship, which he signed immediately, probably relieved to be rid of her. Years later, when he developed Alzheimer's and came begging for help, she felt no pity. This was karma for destroying her mother and her childhood. She pays for his care facility but will never call him father. Ben is speechless with tears in his eyes, apologizing for judging her. He reveals his own trauma. That skydiving student who died from his mistake was his own brother, and he carries that guilt every day. They bond over their shared pain, understanding each other's wounds. Yen drops the lawsuit and he returns to work. A few weeks later, they travel to France for business. The plan is simple: do the business deal, get the IVF procedure done secretly, and return home. But Paris changes everything. They explore the city together, and Ben makes Yen laugh genuinely for the first time in years. Her best friend Sophie meets Ben and immediately tells Yen he's perfect for her, but Yen insists they just have a contract. The IVF happens, and Yen is pregnant. That night at Sophie's celebration party, they dance together like a real couple, forgetting about contracts and just holding each other. When Yen sees Ben playing with Sophie's kids, being so natural and gentle, she realizes he'd be an amazing father. Sophie encourages her to confess her feelings, so that night Yen stands outside Ben's door, heart pounding, ready to tell him she loves him. The door opens. Ben says he's starving and asks about leftover food. Yen's heart sinks. He doesn't feel the same way. Her pride kicks in, and she can't handle another rejection, so the next morning she sends him back to China early. Ben returns heartbroken, but uses his savings for his nephew's successful ear surgery. The boy can finally hear, and his family is overjoyed, but Ben feels empty, unable to stop thinking about Yen. He writes an emotional letter to their unborn daughter about love and family, which he sends to France. When Yen reads it, she breaks down crying, realizing she made a terrible mistake pushing him away. 3 months pass. Yen is in her 5th month of pregnancy when tragedy strikes. She's walking downstairs distracted, thinking about Ben, and she falls. When she wakes in the hospital, the doctor says the baby didn't survive. Yen doesn't scream or cry, just stares at the ceiling completely numb. Her one chance at unconditional love is gone. She sinks into severe depression, won't eat or sleep, just repeats "I lost my baby" over and over. 1 month later, she disappears. Sophie panics and calls Ben saying, "Emergency, come immediately, I think Yen will do something terrible." Ben catches the first flight to Paris. They search everywhere until getting a tip that someone saw a woman matching her description hiking to a mountain cliff. Ben's blood runs cold knowing what she's planning. They find her standing at the cliff's edge, looking down hundreds of feet at the rocks below. Ben approaches slowly, saying that baby was mine too. You think I'm not hurting. But killing yourself won't bring the baby back. Yen says she's tired of pain and being alone. She failed as a mother before even becoming one. Ben realizes words won't work. She's too far gone. So he does something insane. He says, "If you're jumping, we're jumping together, because I'm not letting you go through this alone." Before she can react, Ben rushes forward, grabs her tight, and leaps off the cliff as everyone screams in horror. They're falling through the air, wind rushing past, ground coming up fast. Then a parachute explodes open. Ben had it in his backpack the whole time from his skydiving days. As they glide through the air, he tells her to open her eyes. Slowly she does, seeing the beautiful countryside below painted in sunset colors. For the first time in months, she feels alive. They land safely as a crowd cheers, thinking they witnessed an extreme sports stunt. Standing there still holding each other, Ben says, "I love you. I've loved you for months. I'm sorry I didn't say it sooner." Yen whispers, "I love you too. I'm sorry for pushing you away." Right there in front of everyone, they kiss. 3 years later, we see a beautiful house in the French countryside. Ben is chasing two little twin girls around the living room, pretending to be a monster while they giggle. Yen watches from the doorway, her hand on her pregnant belly. The family she thought she'd never have is now her reality.